Good morning, welcome. Thanks for joining us for this unplugged service, an opportunity for us to be inward focused today. I love these services. Let's take a breath. That feels good. For all of you joining us online this morning or whatever day of the week it is, welcome. I'm Kitty Benson, the minister here at Unity. We're grateful to have you bring your energy into this space because there is no time and spirit. It's all happening at once. If that makes your head explode, I understand. But the good news is it doesn't matter when you're watching, you're still with us. So thank you for that. And it's an opportunity for us today to learn how to hear that still small voice within us, which has oh so much to say if we are able to listen, if we know how to tune in. So that's what our day is about today. And to begin with, one of the quickest ways to get to spirit is to direct your thoughts in prayer. So will you join me in that? Let's just close our eyes. And loving Spirit, we are open to the presence here that fills heaven and earth, the presence that fills our bodies and our minds, that is the light in our hearts. We feel this presence soothing us, calming us, bringing clarity to our thoughts, pointing the way to our highest good. And we choose to remain open to that guidance today, to allow this week to be filled with direction from our higher self. And to know that that which is spoken from the heavenly dimension is ours to know in this physical world. And so we say yes, yes, God. This is the truth of our being and our way of life, and now we let it be. Amen. Feel free to sing along if it moves you.
I am light, I am light. I am light, I am light. I am light, I am light. The things my family did. I am not the voices in my head. I am not the pieces of the brokenness inside. I am light. I am light. I am light. I am light. Mistakes that I have made, or any of the things that caused me pain. I am not the pieces of the dream I left behind. I am light. I am light. I am light. I am light. I am light, I am light, yeah. I am
Beautiful. I'm Carol Gadbois. I'm going to read the daily word for today. The affirmation is, God is my guiding light. Every day I have decisions to make. Some are small, what to wear, what to eat, where to go. Others are large and looming. Financial concerns, health challenges, or how to help a loved one. Regardless, I make all my decisions from a place of love and wisdom. God is my light, like the beacon of a lighthouse that guides ships safely around the shore. My inner light illuminates the path before me, highlighting my journey's every twist and turn, making my way safe and sure. If I'm not sure what to choose, I become quiet and I listen. My listening heart opens to divine wisdom, and I follow my guidance with faith. I do not need to know where my journey will take me. I need only trust my inner light. It's guiding me to my good. And from Psalm 48:14, this is God, our God forever and ever. He will be our guide forever. And so it is.
Thank you, Carol. Before we start the message today, I'm going to invite you to come forward and light a candle. The symbol of this candle lighting is you asking your higher self a question. It can be anything your heart wants to know. A big question, a little question, it's up to you. When you're ready, come and light this candle and just know that the light will be lit throughout this service. When you look at that light, consider it is the light within you that is sharing information with you. So trust that as you ask, you shall receive. Come forward anytime. Our word is guidance for today, and it's an opportunity for us to learn our native language. Because you are not humans, and English is not your native language. You are spiritual beings. You're an extension of the Spirit, the one Spirit that we are here to learn more about, learn who we really are, and to learn better how to speak that language, to bring it forth. It's that which allows us to have this human experience and survive it. Obviously, we're going to survive it no matter what because we're eternal, but it's a chance for us to let that inner language guide us in a way that is so much better than anything that our brain or our ego can try and guide us in doing. So it's going to help you decide where to look for that job. It's going to help you decide whether to seek medical treatment. It's that language that will tell you if it's time to join a gym or get out there and take more walks. It's the language that tells you whether this relationship that you're kind of just beginning on is really the relationship that's going to serve your good, or you're just kind of escaping from the world right now. If you're parents, this is the most important language you can not only know in your own heart, but speak to your children. As you learn to trust it, it will guide you in how you raise your children, no matter how old they get, to know what it is that when they're young, what to guide them to do, and then also to know, is it time to let them start making their own decisions? And as they grow and leave the house, how involved do you stay in their lives? How much do you contribute to what they're learning how to do on their own? Spirit will guide you in that. Maybe your question is it time to retire? Is it time to sign up for Social Security? Is it time to buy a home? Oh my goodness. So when I left here last Sunday, I lived on Carriageway, and I knew that my housemates would be leaving in the next year and that I'd be looking for a home. But by Wednesday, I had found the home and put earnest money down on it. And don't you think that I had a few hours between Monday and Wednesday to make that decision? And there were a couple nights there, Monday and Tuesday night, where I basically got zero sleep because guess who wanted to tell me what to do? Ego. It brought up every fear possible, told you all the things to worry about and stay away from, and do you really want to do this? So I kept breathing and I kept turning back to Spirit to make it clear to me what was mine to do. And what I knew was this particular home was things that I had held in the back of my mind as a desire of my heart for when I did make the move. Everything was there that I wanted. The really important things that I wanted were there. And the way that I was just led into it and things just kept unfolding before me helped me walk in that door to make that decision. But it was Wednesday when I came back and put the earnest money down that I finally got peace. And then I knew I had made the right decision. So now it's about walking through the rest of the process, selling a home and preparing for a move and still being your minister and all kinds of things that could become 3 full-time jobs. So I promise you, I will be listening closely to what Spirit has to say moment by moment. That's how important it is when you're facing these decisions. We want the best advice. We want the highest good in our life. And if we learn this language, we can have that. We'll solve problems, but we don't only use it to face the troubles of life. We listen to this language to create something new. If we are a spiritual being, an extension of God, our essence of being is creator. And wouldn't you like to be the expression of God as creator rather than the minimal things, the error-based things that your ego will take on? So this is an opportunity today to learn this language, to, no matter what our age is, be open and receptive to that creative instruction that Spirit is going to offer to us. Usually, when we seek guidance, it's certainly going within is very rare for most beings. We're just not that far developed. And I probably shouldn't speak that, but I'm guessing that because the subconscious has been known to guide our actions 95% of the day, that's been clocked, so to speak, by experts, that's where we turn first. We just do what comes natural to the subconscious, what we've done before. Before we've even recognized it, we've taken steps towards things. And it's something that we've known in the past, and so now it's safe, and now it's easy. But we also might turn outwardly towards the media. There's all forms of media these days telling us what to do. Our culture that we were raised in can influence our decisions. We might rather listen to our family or our peers to tell us what to do, and it actually is perfectly normal to consult experts and talk to other people who've had experience in whatever it is you're trying to decide. So, yay, do all that. But sometimes it becomes easier for us to depend on those others to tell us what's best and just follow their advice. What's wrong with that? When we decide that we let someone else tell us what's best, what's wrong with that? It may not be best for us, right? It may not be best for us. It may be that maybe their motives aren't pure. Maybe it's the kind of thing where what they think you should do has nothing to do with you fulfilling your purpose. Each one of us have our own reason for being here, and we've even started to turn to artificial intelligence to make these decisions for us, to create things, because we think it will do a better job than we can do. And I gotta say, I've seen some architecture that AI came up with, and it's pretty awesome. I know my left brain would have never been able to figure that out, but spirit could. And here's the thing. We deny our spirit the opportunity to create, which is the reason we came here in the first place, when we give our rights to create over to someone else or something else. And I want you to start trusting that there is nothing more capable than what you have within yourself for your life, that voice of spirit within you. And trust that that gift of imagination, creativity, intuition is meant to be used. It's the reason why we chose to come into this physical experience, is to bring that into the activity of our life here. There's so much possibility here for us if we will become a vessel and an opening for that higher voice within us to come through. So we have things in our regular life that inhibit us from being able to hear that guidance. And some folks who are not on the spiritual path may not even know they have that inner guidance. It's just perfectly natural to them to let either the ego or the outer guide their way. So first of all, we have to get clear that there is a voice within us that knows exactly what we should be doing 24/7. And we avoid hearing that because we're so busy that we can't hear it. Our schedule is so packed that our focus is always on the outer. We can't hear that inner guidance. We're over busy or we're distracted. Some of us hate to be in the car with another person in silence. Have you noticed that? Where you just have to keep the conversation going because it's uncomfortable for you to be still. So we keep moving, we keep talking, we keep finding ways to entertain ourselves. We go shopping, we get addicted to things that take our attention away. And even if we do become aware that there's a higher voice within us, it's hard to learn how to trust it. It's hard to know whether this really is my higher self, because so much of the time, ego thinks it knows best. How many of you have experienced stress in your life? That energy of stress is another thing that inhibits our ability to hear our higher self, because the energy of stress is that lower, slower vibration. Anything from frustration to anger to depression to fear, all forms of energy that do not align with that voice within you. And that's the thing about the voice. It will not force its way forward into your awareness. We have to make room consciously. But we tend to avoid sitting in the silence because one of the things that happens is when you get still, it gives way to the voices within you. And there's not just spirit, there's also ego, and that's usually the one that pushes forward. When you stop and get still, The ego will come and tell you all the things that you've done wrong and all the things you should be afraid of. So we avoid the silence. That's why I love to remember this quote from Blaise Pascal on the screen. All man's miseries derive from not being able to sit quietly in a room alone. I'm going to just test, or what's the word? I'm going to taunt you into trying that this week. Sitting in a room alone. We fear that we're going to hear our own thoughts and think that we can avoid them. But my darlings, as the scripture says up here from Luke 8, Jesus is saying, nothing is hidden that will not be disclosed, nor is anything secret that will not become known and come to light. So if you think that you can avoid what's hidden within you, those thoughts you don't want to hear, by just not getting quiet, I promise you, it will be heard in some other way. It might be heard as an illness in the body. It might be heard in an inner stress that you can't quite put your finger on, or at least making really bad decisions. It will come to light. The good thing is if you give yourself time in the quiet, it will give you an opportunity to first hear those thoughts of the ego so you can do something about it while you're still in charge, before it starts to act out through your behavior. And you also have the potential here to hear from your higher self that way. So either way, good or bad, whatever you hear gives you a chance to be proactive about your life. So let's talk about what spiritual guidance is. Go back to the idea that I'm a spiritual being, and that all the while, that spiritual nature within me knows everything that we need to know every minute of the day, and it's trying to communicate it to us. That's your spiritual guidance. It is God expressing uniquely as you. We call that the Christ. And it's seeking to be heard and known and honored and allowed to express in our life. So you might know it as your intuition. It might come up as a feeling. It might be an aha moment. It might be a full-blown knowing. But that Christ consciousness within each one of us has everything that we need when it comes to getting what we need. And some of us may think that we're afraid to listen to that voice for fear of what it will say about us, whether it will be a judgment or a punishment. That's not your higher self. That is not the consciousness of God. It will always be loving. It will always be gentle. That voice that we hear within us is the highest point of view for the decisions that you can make. It knows the future. It knows the past. So it's up there seeing what lies ahead. Wouldn't you rather check in with that when you're trying to make decisions or when you're trying to create something? It's kind of like your instruction manual for life on earth as it is in heaven. That's how good it is. It's what Jesus meant when he said to seek first the kingdom. Or from Proverbs up here on the screen, in all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. In all your ways. In other words, before you do anything, what should I have for breakfast? Where should I get gas? All your ways, acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. When we talk about improving our connection to our higher self, because this is probably the number one question we have is, how do I hear it? How do I hear it? Let me just offer that, first of all, we have to learn how to stop saying, I don't know, because you do know. When you say, I don't know, you've shut the door on that higher self, and now you're just at the mercy of whatever your ego can throw up for you. And it does feel like throwing it sometimes. So let's take a look at what Myrtle says about that. She's one of our co-founders, Myrtle Fillmore of Unity. You would not think of closing your eyes and walking around saying that you can't see, don't know where you're going. So why close your eye of omniscience? There's another way to describe it, your eye of omniscience, by saying, I do not know what to do. Repeatedly affirm that you do know. That is the way to make your wisdom work for you and guide you in paths of plenty. If we just stopped right there and you just picked up that practice of saying as often as possible, I know what to do, I know what to do. Just make that your new affirmation, I know what to do. And I'm open and receptive to having it come forward in me. I know what to do. So let's look at a list of ways that we can connect more clearly to our higher self and make more space for it to express in us. And the first is your body. Your body is your first line of connection to your spirit. Your body is the temple, as the scriptures say, of that spirit within you. So it's going to either be sharing information with you that tells you what you need to stop doing or start doing. And we mentioned stress before. What stress does is it produces adrenaline in the body, which depletes your energy, which makes it difficult to connect with that higher line of energy and thought. It puts you in that fight or flight mode. So again, we're not focused on the inner. We're like protecting ourselves from what's going on in the outer. So pay attention to what your body is feeling. And when you're noticing that you're working against yourself, then get out, take a walk, be out in nature, grab a tree, give it a good hug, take your shoes off, walk in the grass, take deep breaths, do some yoga poses, get the body moving. Because what that does is it gets you out of your head and it starts to relieve some of that pressure. We also want to pay attention to what's happening in the body on a regular basis. Pain and sickness are two signs that we need to check in. Your body, if we're not regularly already doing that and living according to our inner guidance, your body will express in pain and sickness. And that's a signal that I'm not lined up to be able to hear my higher self. When you're feeling that in your body, it can be a result of chronic negative emotion. So if you're spending a lot of time in stress, if you're just carrying a bitter, angry streak inside of you because of what someone did, you're not going to feel connected to spirit, and it's going to produce in the body. You know what that feels like when you're in anger. There's a knot for me. It's right here. It's knotting up. And it also tells you when you have these negative emotions, and we'll get into those feelings more, but just know that there is some kind of belief in you that needs to be changed. Because when we are seeking to hear spirit, and we believe something that is not true, actually it's like this, we can't receive that guidance. So listen to your body and what it's doing. Remember that it's a temple. Also, treat it with respect and give it what it needs. More rest, go to bed earlier, a healthier diet. Drinking lots of water is important to be able to tap into your sixth sense. And then we want to talk about the language that we speak. What's coming out of your mouth on a regular basis? What's the energy associated with those words? How often do we talk about what's not working in our life? And right there, as soon as you get into that lower, slower energy, you're inhibiting your intuition from being heard. And it seeks an energy of peace and appreciation. So if you can start focusing and talking about what is working, what you're grateful for, the energy you're creating is like opening the door to spirit to be heard more clearly, because now you're in alignment with it. And when you live that way on a regular basis, where your words are kind, when your words are optimistic, you just become a light for everyone around you. And you can help be a guidance for others around you when you listen to your language and make sure that you are talking about things that align with spirit. But let's come back to our feelings, because that's a big one. Our feelings are what Esther Hicks would call your spiritual guidance system, or your emotional guidance system. As I said, when we are feeling some kind of negative emotion, let's say it was me laying awake in bed on Monday night thinking about buying this house and feeling just like there was a stranglehold on me. And I had to stop and say, okay, what am I thinking? Well, I was thinking all the fearful thoughts. What if? How can I? That's never going to work. All ego-based thoughts. So that first feeling of a stranglehold told me I'm out of alignment. Spirit can't guide me. So I just kept breathing deeply and focusing on what I preferred instead. And I didn't get a check in my spirit when I focused on the house, when I focused on living there. That always felt good, but then the ego wanted to come in and protect itself. So pay attention to your feelings and try new thoughts. When you start feeling tense, just offer a different thought, an opposite thought. Like most of the time, the tense thought is, what if this doesn't work? All you have to do is say, but what if it does? What if it does work out? What if the best thing actually happens? If you don't know for sure, why not go there? Until you start to feel relief. If you can at least get to relief, you know that you're there in alignment with your higher self. You're going to be able to continue to hear from it. And don't discount that heart's desire that comes in and says, I love this. I'm passionate about this. I could spend all day here. Pay attention to that. A heart's desire comes from your higher self. It's trying to guide you in a certain direction. I'm not saying it has to become your full-time job, but how about if you listen to what makes you happy and give it more time? Your spirit is trying to guide you in that direction. So pay attention to those feelings. And one of the highest feelings we can hold is this power of love. I was fortunate enough to have a minister in my church before I went to seminary, David MacArthur, who worked for Heart Math Institute, and I know I've shared this with a few of you here, but Heart Math studies what the energy of love and appreciation does to the body and the mind. That when we can get into that energy of appreciation, it literally opens us up to that higher wisdom. So when you find yourself in a tense situation and all of the voices in your head are pointing you towards the problem, then just notice that, set it on a shelf, and come back to breathing through your heart until you feel more relaxed. And then just imagine in your mind's eye somebody that you love, something that was done for you that you are so grateful for, a beautiful place in nature. Stay there for a few minutes until you start to feel the warmth of that appreciation in your heart, and then ask. Ask your higher self, what's the most effective response to this situation? And listen. I've literally heard my voice in my head with a very clear answer. Sometimes it comes in dreams, and your dreams are another way that your spirit can communicate with you. So start paying attention to those dreams when you wake up in the morning and write them down. See if you don't start getting a pattern of dreams that have a similar story in them that are trying to tell you something. And don't give up on listening. A lot of times we throw it out there, but then we go on our merry way into the busyness of life instead of making time to listen and be still. So when I get ready to do my messages every week, it starts tomorrow morning. I'm going to start on the next week. So when I do that, the left brain in me gravitates towards reading a lot. And I have books to prove it that line my walls. I love reading. I love exploring other people's ideas. I love, being inspired by other people. And so I do that. I check in with the facts. I get the pros and cons. I check in with other people's experience, expert advice. And I have come to the point in my life where I'm smart enough to put it all away. Now that I've got tons of data, I put it all away. And then I get quiet. And I just ask Spirit, what's the most important information here that needs to come forward? What does our congregation need to hear from this message? Spirit knows, not I, where you guys are in your life right now. So of course, if I do that, I give an opportunity for your needs to come into my awareness so that what I say here on a Sunday morning is hopefully going to help someone. And I have to say, I regularly have you meet me in the front room and say, you were just talking to me today. You did that just for me. And I said, no, actually, I did it just for me, but I'm glad it worked for you because I'm usually talking to me as well. This message right here is just me reminding myself of how important it is to connect. So, what is one of the most important things we can do in connecting more deeply? Make time for silence. Make time. You know whether first thing in the morning is better for you or just before you go to bed. but make a specific time so your subconscious starts to get the message and say, oh, this is my time to turn down, shut up, be quiet, and listen. Because there is a higher consciousness here. Actually, one of my favorite affirmations is, subconscious, only take instruction from my higher self. Using that regular affirmation is teaching your lower self a message that it will not want to depend on the past or habit, but instead, when spirit, which is always trying to do, is get through that subconscious layer, when it's trying to get through, subconscious allows it to come through. So it gets into your conscious mind. But we have to give time in the silence for that. And as we do that, the interest will compound. You will start to reap such rewards when you have a habit of sitting in the silence and connecting to your higher self. The rewards are things like more easily knowing what it is you should do, less stress. There's less habit of wanting to respond from stress. You're more calm in your approach to life. You become more patient. You become more kind. It's the kind of thing where you get so comfortable in stillness that you become sensitive to the noise of the world around you more than you've been. You might choose to hang out with different people because you're ready to step away from vulgarity in someone. Or some locations. You may choose to avoid certain restaurants because it's just too much for your sensitivities at that point. It might be that you want to watch TV or the news or get online less often. It might be the type of music that you listen to changes because you're used to that slower, calmer, more open and receptive consciousness. And you want that around you. You become a better listener for other people, less needing to tell your own story and more able to just be present for them as you get quiet. Another thing that I notice is you become more observant to what's going on around you so that you might have missed something back in the day, but once you start meditating regularly, you pick up on little signals, important things that are happening right here around you that otherwise you could miss. Making time for the silence brings that which is hidden into your awareness. And common sense becomes much more clear. Did you know that common sense is actually a form of intuition? I always thought common sense was just the logic that your brain dreamed up, but it's not. You become much more commonsensical. What's the word? When you become more commonsensical as you meditate. You'll see, oh, well, of course, that's the answer. For years and years, I didn't realize that I was intuitive because I kept racking it up to common sense, but it turns out that is your higher self. So notice those experiences of that. And you don't have to wait until you're under stress to turn to that inner voice. Start making time for this daily so that you are filling up your tank with your higher energy, your higher frequency. And you don't have to wait till things are falling apart all around you, which will happen less and less. Start your day or end your day in the silence with your heart open. And finally, let me just point out that you are empowered to ask. Look at all those questions over there. Spirit loves it when we ask questions of it. It's here specifically for that. You have not because you ask not, the scriptures say, and ask and it'll be given. So what are we waiting for? What do I need to know right now? A simple question. It applies to all of your life. Spirit will come in with the highest priority thing in that moment. What do I need to know right now? Get quiet. We'll walk through this in our meditation today. When you're making decisions, a simple question is, does this bring me peace? Is this the best road for me to follow? A yes or no answer. How does it feel? If you want to get really deep, here's a big question. What am I doing here? That could be answered in so many ways. And Spirit has a sense of humor, let me just warn you. So who knows how it will answer you when you ask that question. What am I doing here? What do you want to do, Spirit? I know my ego would prefer this, but what does my spirit want to do? That just shifts your attention back to the heart and away from the outer experience. What does my spirit want to do? Trust that this universe loves you so deeply. It wants you to know. It wants you to ask. It's ready to tell us. It loves you and it wants the highest and best for you. So trust that it's good to ask and then be ready to listen. It's like when I walked you through the heart math process. That you get into that nice, warm, fuzzy feeling where you're vibrating up here with the energy of love, and then ask and wait for your higher self to tell you. But don't forget to stick around and listen and make sure that this is really your higher self speaking. Learn the sound of its voice. So this is the way. Practice. If you're not sure what your higher self's voice sounds like, practice. When you think you've heard it but you're not sure, act on it. If you wind up in jail, call me. I will bail you out. Lesson learned. We won't do that again. And evidently that was not the voice of my higher self, okay? But for the most part, no one's going to die here by practicing. This is how you start to learn the sound of its voice, is you act on it. Oh, that's how it is. Like I started to learn. It used to be I would have a thought. It's usually about another person, and that person would come stand in front of me and say those exact words. And I thought, whoa, that's really scary, man. But then I suddenly learned, no, I'm just plugged into my higher self, which sees all time, knows all things, and I just happen to be open and receptive. It may not be that I necessarily needed to know that that was going to happen, but I'm just in alignment with it enough that I hear it before it's said. And when I started later on in life, when it started happening pretty regularly, I went, oh, okay, so that's going to happen now. And it does. So for the most part, I get it right. For the most part. All right, so we're learning the difference between ego and spirit's voice. We're acting on it to try it out, to test it, to get in the habit and start to know that voice on a regular basis. And there's just a very simple activity. Be still and know. What if you just came into that silence with no agenda whatsoever, but to simply be awake and aware of the presence of God within you, and just rest there. Just rest there. There's no hidden agenda from your part. You're not trying to achieve anything. Just keep bringing your attention back to the presence of God within me. And as those thoughts start to quiet down, your desire is to live in the pauses between the thoughts. That's the silence. That's when you know that you're making that deepest connection, is to live in the pause. Wayne Dyer, bless his heart, when he was alive, he wrote a lot of good books, and one of them was about meditation called Getting in the Gap. Here's what he says. What awaits you in the gap, that's that pause between thoughts. What awaits you in the gap is the experience of activating the higher dimensions of insight, intuition, creativity, and peak performance, as well as coming to know relaxation, enchantment, bliss, and the peace of making conscious contact with God. So as we move into that time of silence, just start by giving thanks. Giving thanks for your existence, giving thanks for the goodness of God present, giving thanks for the answers that are coming, so that, again, your higher self is in charge and you're raised up and aligned to that energy. I'd like to offer you just a few statements to help you remember when you're under stress. Up here on the screen, let's say these affirmations together. I'm easily guided to my highest good. Subconscious mind, only take instruction from my higher self. I walk in the light of divine wisdom. I am awake to the truth of God within. So let's take some time now to sit in that quiet and see if we can't become more aware of all the good that's present in our heart. I'll just invite you to close your eyes. Christina, I'm going to ask you to turn around and look at the thermostat and use the up arrow a couple degrees. Thank you. Okay, so let's take a deep breath and begin, and I'll just set your awareness that this will be a longer meditation than usual. Our first focus is to soften the body, to raise its vibration. So let's just scan the body and see if there's anything that's tense or sore. And breathe through that area with love. Just breathing love and light into that space. Scan down through your body and relax any tense muscles, breathing light into them. Feel your feet on the floor. Connected to Mother Earth. Feel the immensity of the planet beneath you, holding you, grounding you. Imagine now a beautiful white light above your head. The presence of spirit, pure light of love, shining from the spiritual dimension into your own body. Streaming down from the top of your head, down through your feet, down deep into the earth. And as that divine light streams down throughout your body and into the earth, it gathers any heavy, slow energy of fear or pain with it and takes it deep into the earth where it can dissolve into nothingness. Visualize that in your mind, in your heart. This beautiful, loving, cleansing light pouring down through your head, through your body, down out your feet into the earth beneath you. Relieving any low, slow energy in your body. Clarifying your thoughts, calming and soothing your mind. Return your thoughts back to your breath and imagining that you are breathing through your heart. Breathing that light into your heart space. And as you exhale, it goes down through your feet into the earth. Take a moment to think of someone that you care about. One that you love. Or remember a kindness that someone has done for you and feel that gratitude. Or see yourself holding your grandchild. Or holding your pet, your beloved pet, in your arms. Until you can feel that warmth of love and appreciation growing in your heart. Keep returning back to that vision, that person, that experience, some beautiful place in nature until your heart is warm with love and gratitude. And as you feel that energy filling your being, know, this is my spirit. This is the natural state of being for my spirit. This is the language of my spirit. Feeling of gratitude and appreciation. I and my spirit are one. In this conscious oneness with the presence of God, I know. I think back to the candle that I lit this morning and the question that I asked. Ask, and it shall be given. In this place of gratitude and love and warmth and light, I am open and receptive, Spirit. What do I need to know right now about this situation? one with the mind of God. I am so grateful that all that I need to know is given. And as I complete my time in this sacred space, I continue to remain open to guidance on this topic and on all that I need to know. In any given moment, I am open and receptive to my guiding light and grateful that answers come easily to my awareness. The truth of my being is that I and God are one. What Spirit knows, I know. And I am grateful. Thank you, God. Amen. Back in our bodies, back in this room. I'll just encourage you you can use that meditation as often as you want. It's always going to be on the podcast on our website. So feel free to keep at it. Do a practice round. Learn the sound of that inner voice. This is the time in our service where we open our hearts to what Spirit guides us to give to your spiritual community, to Unity in Naperville. And we're so grateful for that which you are led to give because it allows us to keep having these conversations. So I'll just invite you to ask your heart, what is mine to share today? How can I support this community that is serving me? If you're watching online, you can do that from our website at unityinnaperville.org. I don't want you to get in that habit, so just start with that. Or if you'd like to mail a check, you can send it to our P.O. Box 9733 in Naperville. 60567 is the zip code. And let's bless it. Let's speak our truth together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I am grateful. Thank you. Ushers, will you come, please? And we're going to do something a little bit different now. While the ushers are receiving the offering, I'm going to ask a couple runners to help me take mics around the room. Cindy, you want to be a runner? Here's a mic. Who wants to be another runner? You just basically, thank you, Shoshana, up here. So if we can have both mics on, handheld mics. Here's the thing. Back in the day when we had a 9 a.m. service before COVID, part of our service was giving you a chance to ask questions about the message or share with us your own experience of how you hear Spirit. I don't want the details of what happened as much as, was it an inner voice? Was it a dream? Was it somebody walked up and gave you the exact information you needed? So first of all, who here has questions about what we talked about today?
So you say sit in silence, but we had music. Does it matter, do you think, or?
Yeah, we had music. I personally try not to use music. I tend to use it in this environment just so that those who are not used to focusing, that hopefully it will help them focus better. But good point. Don't need music. And I would love to know that you're able to get to that place at home where you don't need music to keep you focused. Thank you for that. Other questions? Rick?
Where would you say breathing would fit in with this process?
I think that when we go through a grief process, it can be completely overwhelming, and we totally can lose touch with life and what we should be doing and how we should respond. In our grief support group, we say regularly there's no right way to do it, but Spirit knows what's best for you as you're going through a grieving process, and it will guide you. When you start to feel overwhelmed, if you can get into the silence and just ask, what is mine to do here? Just to find relief, what is mine to do here? And it might be a guidance that says, call this person, or go read this book, or get into Unity for a Sunday service. Your guidance will be just for you, but it will have just as much good information as you're going through grief as you're going through any struggle in your life. The difficulty will be being able to hear it because you are in such turmoil. So use the physical practices first about calming the body, getting out of your head, going out in nature, releasing that torn up energy inside you physically first. And then you can maybe start to settle down in your mind a little bit. Let out the emotion that needs to be let out. Crying is a good way to make space for Spirit to be heard. So when you're going through grief, don't hesitate to cry as often, as long as you need to. And if you feel like this is too long, then you might want to get some help on that. But for the most part, Spirit will guide us through this process if we are able to hear it. Does that help? Okay. What else? Don, and then over here, Cindy, Bill.
Oddly, one time I was going into meditation and I asked for guidance, and it just came to me, the Lord is my shepherd, the 23rd Psalm.
Yeah. I shall not want. I have all that I need. Thank you. Bill?
I have found when I want to do things to become part of something that I call it being in the pocket.
Oh, neat.
Being in the pocket to me means that I don't control everything. I'm part of a process. And whatever happens is meant to happen. So don't take so much control, just sit and be in the pocket.
Nice.
That's pretty much what.
That's a nice form of meditation, active meditation when you're in the middle of life. I love that. Thank you. What else? Questions, comments? How have you been guided by Spirit? What has shown up for you? How does it happen? Anybody had an aha? Here's Liz over here. And then Mary's second.
Okay, so what happens, I'm in my car and things come to me and I thought, I don't know if I want to get rid of this car because I was getting such good, but actually it still happens when I'm in my car. I don't know why.
Okay. Actually, I've heard that said that we often get hits while we're in our car because we're just kind of in the flow. We're driving on autopilot most of the time, and that's why Spirit can get in between thoughts. Mary.
First thing in the morning works best for me. That's when I hear the most.
First thing in the morning to hear from Spirit or to meditate or?
To sit with Spirit before I do anything else, and then I'll hear.
Okay, so it actually sounds like a thought in your mind? Okay, thank you. Cindy.
For some reason, I have to have some kind of physical activity, so I have to swim.
Oh, there you go.
But it helps my knees too. But apart from that, when I slow down, you got to be mindful in the pool because if you don't concentrate on moving, you sink. But that's really calming for me, and some of my best thoughts come there. But also being outside and hearing nature sounds or petting the dog, because it kind of takes me out of my head.
Yes, and it also raises our vibration, so we're more in alignment with that language. Thank you. Anyone else, questions or ideas?
For me, I journal about daily word every night.
Oh, neat.
And and that just kind of brings out in my journal questions or whatever. And then I seem to wake up with answers.
Wonderful.
Not dreams, because I don't remember my dreams.
Okay.
But I wake up with answers.
Wonderful.
Which is like, wow.
Yeah. We have not because we ask not. So that is a great way to be asking is journaling and automatic writing sometimes. I don't know if you've heard that, but just, see what comes out of your pen as you're writing. What else? Anybody else over here? Sharon?
To put it mildly, I've had a very, very trying, difficult week. And I had a moment with Reverend Kitty before service, so she knows where I'm coming from with this. But again, this service, and I know it was meant for all of you, but it really was meant for me. And I thank you for that, spiritual leader. And
Thanks for following your guidance to be here today.
well,
yeah, that
there
was
you go.
there you go.
And then and the message I received was, be still and know.
Yeah. If you be still, Spirit will send in the knowledge. Yeah, I trust that too. Thank you. Anyone else?
I sometimes do thought experiments, and I imagine that I've chosen one thing or another, and then I pay attention to what comes up within me. What thought makes me light up? What thought pulls me down? And the thought that makes me light up is the one I should choose.
Oh, I love that. That lights me up. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else?
So you mentioned Wayne Dyer. 2 times in the day that he said are very, very good for influencing your life are before you go to sleep, because you go to spirit,
Yeah.
and when you wake up. And so I've been asking spirit. I've been meditating before I go to sleep and trying that, and then asking spirit to, you know what, take me with you. Give me some dreams. Take me with you. And my dreams have been just unbelievable. I wake up and I just go, wow, thank you.
How fun.
Thank you.
How fun.
And Suzanne Giesman, who you've been
Yeah.
quoting a lot, she says to keep a notepad by your bed. And if you wake up in the middle of the night and you remember a dream, write it down.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to write down and make notes of some of these things.
Wonderful.
Yeah, they
Thank
feel
you.
really good.
Thank you. Okay, one more, Don. Here comes Cindy.
Well, Linda reminded me this, and I haven't done it for a long time, but what I've done in the past is when I had a choice between 2 things, put the energy of one thing in one hand, put the energy of the other thing in the other hand, and see which one goes easily to my heart.
Oh, fun. Beautiful. You guys know what you're doing. Thank you for sharing these ideas with us. Your creativity is God expressing through you, and that's where we can be all the time. Isn't that fun to know that? We can be there all the time. So, I hate to end this, but we'll just wind this up really quickly. I've got 2 things to say about what's coming up here at Unity. One of them, speaking of, connecting with Spirit, this Friday is a wonderful opportunity to have a newcomer join us, Nesho Dobras, who will be leading a meditation with the angels. He's a channeler. He has the ability to just connect with Spirit in the room with us. If you want to sit in the chairs, you can. If you want to lay on the floor, bring a mat. We'll create some space for laying on the floor. And it's just an hour, but it's an opportunity for you to kind of get that extra oomph. If you feel like you're not quite where you want to be as far as connected, it's a good opportunity to open your hearts and minds to what's all around us. We just have forgotten a lot of the time. So if you can join us, Susan is still selling tickets at the info table out there by the window today at the discount price of $25, and then you can get them online at that same price this week until Friday, and then they're at the door for $30. So if you want to save some money, there you go. And then the other slide is that next Sunday is our coffee with newcomers, and we used to do that every 6 months or so before COVID. So we are picking it up again 2 to 3 months after or years after COVID. So there's probably a lot of you newcomers that haven't had a chance to sit with us and get to know our leadership team. And we'd love to get to know you, and you get to know each other. So we'll have some refreshments, and grab your plate, bring it in here, and we'll hang out together for a while and just chat, get to know each other. I hope you'll do that with us. Okay, here is our closing affirmation for today. Let's just put our hand on our heart. Together. My inner light illuminates the path before me. Say it again. My inner light illuminates the path before me. May you leave in the light. May you know the light. May you have a beautiful week in the light because you know which way to step. God bless you. Thank you. You're free to go. You might want to say hi to somebody that you haven't met yet. Thank you. I just gave them.
Oh, that was it.
We cut back today on purpose. Thanks for sharing. Oh, thank you. And thanks for helping out today.
Lovely. And are you staying in Aurora?
North Aurora.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
so almost as far as my house is from here. It's just north.
Oh, okay. And
Yeah.
are you doing townhouse? Or are you going
It's a duplex.
a duplex?
Yes,
Oh, fun.
yes. It's
That's awesome.
supposedly going to be done by end of November. Yeah.
Wonderful. I always said a duplex.
As long as you own both sides, right? Exactly. That's funny. How you doing, Sue?
Okay.
Okay.
Challenging summer.
Did you?
I went to Cleveland to visit for 4th of July.
Okay.